Angelina. You be cool in my temperature. If you call,
say cheese, take a picture. Shaka post, make a see, take a picture.
in a leg book, boah.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say. Secure.
What we do has consequences, intended and unintended. The decisions we make, the actions we bring, have weight.
When did it become a crime to succeed in this country?
We spotted a suspect trading pattern. All three firms have links to Bobby Axelrod.
Be careful out there.
Hi there, I'm excited to come your way with football conversations, sports-related conversations, light-hearted, lifestyle-related conversations about the sport that we all love and are passionate about. Make a date with me.
Welcome, my people. Welcome to X-Cave. A boy's body count and a girl's body count matter differently. Wow, ladies.
Probably an experience, something that happened.
Is it a deal breaker in a relationship?
No.
The X-Cave, and this show focuses on topics that are hot on the lips of our young people and presents it in an open, honest conversation.
Oh, look at him, he's crying, he's such a girl.
In other words, there are no liars on our show.
The man is the head of the home. The man is, quote unquote, the breadwinner.
We come here with the truth.
We talk of something being toxic. It's something which is harmful or unpleasant.
Stay glued to the television for the hottest show on TV.
All right, many thanks for staying with us right here on Opposing Views. My name is Kwabena Chenchen Boateng. I'm glad that you've taken time off to join us for yet another edition. Today is a Friday, so we want to take it a bit slow and low. But of course, we are building up momentum to celebrate a lot of great personalities this weekend. There are some amazing fathers, well, some of whom are today even my panelists. So I'll take the opportunity to even wish them a happy Father's Day in advance once the time is due. But I'm telling you, MX24, together with BTL Africa, we are putting together something amazing for all fathers. And so if you're a father figure, or perhaps you're a son or a daughter, and you do not know, you are still thinking through what to get your father this particular Father's Day, which is on Sunday, please worry no more. Because from Saturday to Sunday, which is tomorrow and the day after, just pass through Marina Mall from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We have a lot of amazing things there for you. There are live shows happening, live events happening. There are vendors there. There are programs there. We are giving out gifts. There's so much happening. And so the place to be this weekend, please, just take note. Block your calendar. Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Marina Mall. Just pass through and you'll be glad you did. There's a lot happening. We call it the Pop-Up Lounge, the Father's Day edition. And it's a proud collaboration between MX24 and BTL Africa. It's happening at the Marina Mall at Accra, right here. For those of you who are in the other regions and keep asking, oh, when are you coming to us? Don't worry, very soon we'll be moving. The Pop-Up lounge. We'll be moving to a community near you. We'll be coming with a lot of activities. But for now, today, we want to focus on Father's Day. And so please take note of that. Also, for the many of you who may be watching and may be asking yourselves, at this time of the day, instead of talking so much, KK, you should be getting something to eat. Well, I have eaten. If you didn't know, I've eaten something amazing at our colleagues at the Free's restaurant and bar. They have some rather interesting things over there, as you can see in your shots there. Some amazing shots. So that's the place. You see how lovely it looks? Right. And so if you are keen on actually getting to know a lot more about the facilities they have and the services they offer, it's rather simple. Just do well to visit their restaurants. It's at the it's right here on the Boundary Road at East Legon, close to MX24. If you get to the MX24 roundabout on the Boundary Road, you would see that a Free's Bar and Restaurant is right there. The number is 0246 080993. And so in case you are keen on purchasing a meal, ordering for some food, that's the number 0246 080925. 0246 080925. You can place an order today and you'll be glad you did. Okay, with those two out of the way, it's time now for us to pay a bit of attention as to what it is that is happening. Today's focus is in twofold. One, we'll take a look at the issue of the telenovelas and all of its impact, particularly because it was a topical thing at the vetting of Michael Kweku-Manteh. Also, the Speaker of Parliament had mentioned it because, again, he felt it was that relevant and needed to be rehashed. And so it's the reason for which we want to bring that into our conversation. But more importantly, also, we want to focus on tourism. It appears to be one thing a lot of industry players are not even paying attention to. So many say that if industry players, if the media, we are not highlighting a lot happening in that space, how do we expect government to even realize that there's a problem here or there's potential here, and so we need to pay a bit more attention to it. So that's how it's going to be. Let's start with the issue of, like I mentioned, telenovelas. And let's start with that very sound clip of the Right Honorable Alban Sumanu Bagbin, the Speaker of Parliament. Let's take a listen to him.
His life story typifies what Pelé, the famous footballer from Brazil, said that, and I quote, "Success is no accident. It is hard work, perseverance, learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, love of what you are doing or learning to do," unquote. The telenovelas of today on our television sets are figments of imagination from the cultures they originated from, which have been developed into storylines. Very often, they have no bearings on our culture. These become storylines that captivate us to the extent that we are not prepared to miss even one episode. I do acknowledge that there is a difference between reading a book and watching a TV series or a film. My concern here today is about the content and the lessons we pick from them. It is about content and its impact on us, irrespective of how the contents gets to us. In fact, these days I've been talking to a lot of women to stop watching those telenovelas because they are corrupting them to the extent that their husbands may no longer know them. I do insist that reading remains one of the most powerful means of accessing information, be it literature, history, culture, or entertainment. It is for this reason that I call on the youth of today to take reading very seriously if they want to understand yesterday, so that they can effectively plan for today again.
Okay. Okay, that was Speaker Alban Bagbin suggesting a lot of things there. key thing. He says the telenovelas a lot of people watch, they remain figments of the imagination of people, and that they have no bearing on reality and on our societal norms and values. And so it may be peculiar to a particular group of people or particular society, but when you import it into our setting, it's not real. So don't look at it and use that as the yardstick or the standard at which your husband or boyfriend or perhaps concubine should be performing. Okay, so that's one point. Also, he mentions that he's been talking to a lot of women. I'm sure there are a lot of men also who watch telenovelas. And so let's not spend too much time on this, but let me introduce my guest for today's show. Freduho, well, when I knew him, he was a journalist. Then he became a businessman doing a lot of selling of some of these coconut ceilings. Very, very lucrative venture. Now he's into tourism and the like. So he's the chief executive officer of 1957 Footprints. He's one of our guests today on the show. Also, Selom Enesosu. He's a tour guide and traveling photographer. He's also joining our conversation. Also, Hola Manuvo Jr., a movie producer. And then George Bosumpim, the public relations officer for the Ghana Academy of Film and Television, is also joining in our conversation, as well as Dr. Emmanuel Asampong, who is a psychologist. I'll tell you why we have a psychologist as part of our panel today. Don't be alarmed. He's just going to help us understand a few things. But gentlemen, good afternoon, and happy Father's Day in advance to all of you.
Good afternoon.
Great. Good to have you. Good to have you.
Thank you for good afternoon, and thank you too.
Great. Let me start off with George Bosumpim. He's the PRO for the Ghana Academy of Film and Television, and I'm really happy he's joining us now, because I'm sure the issue of telenovela, if we start now, we won't finish, but we must start at some point anyway. So I'm going to ask him, George, is it the case that telenovelas are such a bad thing and are really the reason why perhaps Ghanaian movies and series are not doing so well locally and internationally?
I think it's a mixed bag.
Okay.
You can't really point to that and say that, oh, it's a bad thing, that's why we are not doing well. I think it goes beyond that. Basically, we need to look at our regulations and how we implement them. There are laws in this country, and they are not being implemented. That's why we got into this point. And I don't want to blame it totally on telenovelas. I feel that it goes beyond that. Now, the telenovelas have come to actually occupy a gap that was left behind. And what is a gap? Before these new television stations came into being, we used to have our normal Sofodazis and all those dramas on television, which was very popular, and we used to we used to patronize them. Then, at a point in time, we realized that there was no funding for most of these things. So, Osofodazi, TV theater, which was part of, and other things went off air. Now, of course, television stations come and they need content, and so they will need to push in new things and put it out there. And they found it very necessary to go out there to go and look for content. And they got the telenovelas and brought them in. What we need to do is to use our regulations here to check what is coming in and what is going out, which is a basic thing. So, for instance, if you look at the classification and development and classification of the Film Act, which is within it, states that we should have a classification committee that classifies films or anything that comes on television. We have first we put that committee in place because the National Film Authority put it in place. But ask yourself, how long would they stay and not act? Because they are there for almost over a year, and none of our content that are going out there are being classified. And the content that comes in from outside as well have to be classified. And so these telenovelas they're talking about also have to be classified. Now, if for the purpose of our cultural values, some of them do not qualify to be in there, it will be checked. But who is going to check it with the organization or the committee that has been set up is not working? And so that's the kind of thing that we have to look at. We've got a lot of laws on in this country that are not being seen to as working, because nobody is trying to execute whatever they have to do. And so that's the kind of thing that we have to look at. Besides that, when we talk about content, sometimes people think that, then the Ministry for Tourism and the Ministry for Tourism, Art and Culture should be looking at it. it's not always like that. The limit, that ministry has a limit. The only thing that they can use is the classification. That's the only thing that you can do. Besides that, the other bit falls in the remit of the information ministry and the communication ministry because of the NCA and the National Media Commission and NMC. And NMC is basically the Ministry of Information. So the bill, that broadcast bill that has not been passed, is very, very important to our existence. And so those are the things that will come and look at local content and all those kind of things. I remember that when this issue came up, when the young, the toddlers, I think some 17-year-old or something killed another person, a small boy, for money. That came, you know. When it came up, they called for a meeting and then said they had to look at this content thing. And the people that they called, NCA, NFA, and all those people that they called within the communication ministry, the agencies and all, these are people who are supposed to be acting on this thing for us.
Yeah.
You know, so you as media men should also put you to task. That you should push them to work. Because those are some of the things that we should be talking about. What do we see on our networks now? Flimsy things and what they call beef and those things is what they are trying to promote. You know, so negativity is what we put out there and discuss and make it a big issue when instead of talking about something that will help our national discourse. You know, so please, the media too also has to help us. Where we build a nation together. It's not based on just, you know, entertainment. There should be education as well, and constructive education,
right? So
that we can build our nation together. So that's what I would say. But I would not blame the people who are bringing in those films. Of course, our films also go elsewhere. I remember working in London, East London, when I met this lady who said she knew me. And how did she get to know me? Because I've done TV theater many years ago. That's past, and I didn't stop acting. And she still remembers some of the things that we did that they watched in Zimbabwe.
Wow.
You know, and so you can't say that. And it's a global world now where everybody's watching every other person's content.
So it's not
all
all
so we
bad.
can't say that, Pardon me?
It's not all bad. Okay.
It's not all bad. It's
That's
not all
fine.
bad. Let's not make it look as if everything is bad about the telenovelas. But they have their own values and culture that they want to use to influence us. How are we also influencing other people's culture? That's what we should be thinking about. And how are we using our regulations and regulative bodies in our country? Because when you bring, the law says that when you bring in even a film, it has to go for classification. And going for classification means you come and tell us who owns it and all those things that is in there, contractual issues and all those things. And then it's classified. For instance, if it's classified and it says that it is 18, it means you can't show it at a particular time.
Yeah.
You know, so that mature brains will be watching that thing at a particular time. You know, and then we set our own watershed. The time that kids are supposed to be asleep, that they wouldn't be watching some of these programs. And so that's what we have to look at. And let's not lambast them from the beginning. You know, right. I think it's not too good for us.
That's good. Thank you for those words. Let me quickly get the views of our psychologist, Dr. Emmanuel Asampong, who is with us currently. Doc, again, good afternoon again, and thanks for joining us. Now, I want to understand this. Is it really the case that these things we watch on television have such a grave impact on every single thing we do, our way of life, activity? Because if you hear the Speaker of Parliament say in his speech, he says a lot to suggest that a lot of women that perhaps he may have engaged appear to have gotten a rather weird sense of expectation from their partners based on the kinds of things they watch on TV, particularly these telenovelas. And so the expectation is that perhaps the guy will have this, well, I don't know, I can't go into all of those details. But yeah, they expect some grandeur acts of love, which perhaps may not necessarily be our culture. So do these things really have the sort of impact we think they do, or it's a mere exaggeration of the reality? No, can you hear me? Okay, I'm not sure Dr. Asampong can hear me, but Dr. Emmanuel Asampong is a psychologist, and he will join us and help us appreciate some of these things. Okay, so before we do that, George Businpima has raised a lot of very key points, and has suggested that it cannot be the case that it is all bad. And for even the bad aspects of it, we cannot necessarily blame the telenovelas or the TV stations, and that there's a lot perhaps we are supposed to be doing that we are not doing. It's our own negligence which perhaps is allowing some of these things to become a problem for us. Now, a similar question was posed to the nominee, who's Mark Okrekumante, as to how perhaps he's going to manage or deal with this issue of telenovelas, the influx of telenovelas on our television stations. And he had a bit of an interesting answer to give. I want us to take a listen to him, and then when we come back, we continue with that conversation.
Talking about that, it's very interesting. I'm not very much of a television person. I hardly watch apart from news. But anytime I go home from work, what I see is something that is not familiar to me. It's not Ghanaian. Even though they are purporting to come or show it in Ghanaian languages. Kunkumbaja or that. There are the new ones. I find it very offensive. So I go straight to stay in my bedroom.
20 of Utu Fista, can we imagine?
That talking about that, it's very interesting. I'm not very much of a television person. I hardly watch apart from news. But anytime I go home from work, what I see is something that is not familiar to me. It's not Ghanaian. Even though they are purporting to come or show it in Ghanaian languages. Kunkumbaja or that. There are the new ones. I find it very offensive. So I go straight to stay in my bedroom. I don't want to have anything to do with those things. But you have your media commission, you have your ministry, and it is growing. It's not limited to just one station. It appears to be the order of the day. That juxtaposed to your statement that the power of television, what we show. What happened to the series that you were showing? Ghana Wood, is that what the name you call them? Gollywood, Kuma Wood. What happened to them? Why have we lost those contents on our television?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I remember a few months ago, or weeks, when Dr. Awal, Honorable, came here, he mentioned that he was going to set up a studio that was going to take care of our film and the music industry. We must be ready to compete as a country as well, because even if they do not, the youth or the people in Ghana do not consume via television, they will consume via phone because of social media or online activities. And so we must be ready to also shoot films that are exportable, that we can also consume some based on our culture on our television. At the moment, we are not able to compete some way, somehow, because of standards. And that is why I support Honorable Dr. Awal in the studio that he wants to build, so that technology that can match up today's competition, we can get all of that, plus technical know-how to compete. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
You mean on our regulatory, or we can't regulate the content. We can't insist that